Hi everyone, my name is Diego Casas, a industrial and technical engineer consultant certified manager for Weru Group Spain. Over the next few minutes I'm going to talk about oversized or large windows and doors in Passivhaus and integrated solar or control. Often in Passivhaus projects we need large elements that meet insulation, airtightness criteria, and which can also be opened. And I will also talk about these openings, which will complicate our work, particularly in the case of large elements, to achieve airtightness and insulation that Passivhaus requires. I'll also talk about integrated solar protection control. Typical elements available for such openings include firstly balcony doors, then tilting and sliding doors, and finally lift and sliding doors. We'll look at each of these in detail. The first, commonly used, balcony doors. Well, these use window profiling. In our Weru Affino tech system, we have a PVC profile with reinforced fiber. Door leaf dimensions can be 1.4 meters wide by 2.6 meters high in one door leaf. Energy efficiency is more than enough. UW coefficient values of 0.68 and class 4A permeability, maximum door leaf weight 130 kilos and the possibility of low thresholds or lower guides. The next element in terms of leaf dimensions would be the parallel tilt and sliding door. Compared with the balcony door, the door leaf dimensions are greater, up to 1.6 meters wide and 2.6 meters high. Coefficients would be identical to those in the previous example, and in terms of weight, in the standard version, 200 kilos. Here we must bear in mind that we cannot inlay or recess the boat's bottom frame due to the front guide. The third and largest element, and therefore the preferred choice for designs in large structures, would be lift and sliding doors. The Weru Affino tech system with reinforced fiber and PVC offers dimensions or leaf dimensions of 3 meters wide by 2.7 meters high, coefficients which are more than sufficient for our projects. And the important thing here is air permeability. Air tightness cannot be compromised. It offers class 4 air permeability, thus complying with requirements. The maximum leaf weight would be up to 300 kilos, and there would also be the possibility of inlaying the lower guide in the ground or in the floor. As regards the calculation of the UW coefficient for energy efficiency in windows and balcony doors, well, we use the profiles with the well-known formula of the UW coefficient for window calculations, taking into account glass requirements, pane requirements, frame requirements, and spacer parameters. In the case of lift and sliding doors, bearing in mind that in the case shown in the example on the screen, there can be up to 7 different UF frame coefficients. This is important. This information must be known when introducing values in the PHPP or documenting with the certification. The formula is a little more complicated, but the manufacturer should provide those values. Now we're going to look at 3 examples employing mainly large elements. The first are 2 homes in Tarifa, Cádiz, southern Spain, by the architect Esteban Gamero Núñez. These are the 2 southernmost certified homes in continental Europe. They mainly used these type of doors, as you can see, opening to the exterior, and take into account solar control that I'll describe in detail later. The second project is an example from Zaragoza, recently certified by the architect David Martínez García, mainly using lifting and sliding doors. The dimensions were in line with maximum limits, almost 3 meters from ceiling to floor, and a width of 6.2 meters, thus achieving aesthetic design. And the blower door test was easily passed. The third and last example is in Sitges, by the architect Sergi Gargallo, mainly using lift and sliding doors in rooms opening to the exterior. In this case, Unilux aluminium models were used. project is under construction in Tudela, Navarre region by the architect David Florestan, using the largest lifting and sliding doors available. In terms of solar control, taking into account the load in Spain, well, given the solar radiation in Spain, we often have to use mobile solar protection systems. We offer various systems, both rolling shutters or blinds and Venetian blinds with internal and external inspection to provide different solutions. The interesting feature of these systems is the whole structural design is certified, where we can control all of the blind casing or shutter drawer parameters. In this case, we can see a lifting and sliding door with a roller casing for the blind, and also an analysis of the casing or drawer. The USB coefficient is shown for the casing with values of 0.31 in this version. It's interesting to determine what occurs at that meeting point between the carpentry and the shutter drawer or blind casing. The temperature factor value is important to assess this risk of condensation and damp. The next example shows a lift and sliding door with a Venetian blind. Again, the certificate shows the values, USB coefficients, in this case it's 0.23 watts per square meter Kelvin, and it complies with the evaluation of the condensation and damp criteria. These certificates are not Passivhaus Institute, they're from Vovert in Rosenheim, Germany, but they're perfectly valid and suitable for documentation and certification of such Passivhaus projects, all in different dimensions, adapted to each of our systems, roll-up versions, Venetian blind systems, brickwork systems, etc., or even SATE. In the first example, in Tarifa, by the architect Esteban Camero, we can see details of the execution of the work. The different elements, the blind casing or drawer, wooden framework or frame to avoid thermal bridges, air tightness control on the exterior and interior, and also the final result of the project, where the priority was controlling solar radiation. And then to finish, I would like to mention planning software for architects and designers. We have recently developed the latest version that we hope to be available in Spanish by the end of the year. It offers different functions. The first would be the development of the different sections, where you can configure the windows in a few clicks. The typology would be the different type of Weru window system you design, Weru glass panes. If there are blind casings or drawers, that can be added. And as mentioned before, we can also extract sections and export them to your specific project. Another interesting function is the connection to walls. There are different construction typologies, and we can add the defined and designed window by moving it, increasing the dimensions, etc., to achieve these interesting technical details. Another interesting function is the calculation of the U coefficient of the elements. When designing those elements, the system calculates that U coefficient, so in this way we can obtain complete products all made with Weru windows, doors, etc. In addition to that, we can also calculate wind loads and other options for technical descriptions. So that's the end of my brief presentation. I hope you found it interesting, and thank you for your attention.